This is a short presentation on my practice approaches to supporting student well-being in curriculum. I focus on a holistic approach to learning environments, which is a central component to students' overall experience. And I think that the experiences that students have within the entire learning environment can impact not only their learning, but also their personal well-being and their ability to develop as resilient and engaged citizens. In this presentation, I will highlight a few of the strategies I have used in my practice. I'm using the evidence-based principles for curriculum design and delivery based on the self-determination theory, which I learned mostly from Jackie Cranny. So thank you very much, Jackie. There are three aspects that I am trying to target. I'm focusing on relatedness, competency, and autonomy. Whatever I'm describing here is very much based on the practice at the end of 2020 when we were delivering our courses remotely due to COVID. I also want to acknowledge here my colleagues who worked with me during that course, Annalise Hume and Terry Furlong, and very much we were able to do these things together. So in terms of the relatedness aspect of the self-determination theory, I used a few things like weekly emails, icebreakers, and social spaces. The weekly emails were used mostly to connect one-on-one with students. It had in it 2 or 3 goals that I identified as important goals for the week ahead and flag some places where they would find resources to enable them to ensure that they develop in those competencies. Also use the email to reassure students that there were multiple opportunities for them to learn content if they hadn't yet mastered it. We use icebreakers, and one session every week started with the icebreaker, and this was to help students relate to each other. And in relating to each other, they were able to help each other learn as a group. We had a number of ways in which we use social spaces in the course. Because it was online, the social spaces were very much online social spaces. One of them, for example, was a Teams channel that we had in the Teams group for the course, and that channel was a chill spot, and it enabled students to share with each other things that they were using to manage their own stress or activities that they were doing outside of the classroom. And it was also a space in which we could share the ways we were managing our well-being during that time. During the chats and in small group team meetings with students, I used the praise badges, and the praise badges were very much valued by the students. It helped them to engage with each other, and I also used the praise badges to encourage and to call out positive behavior. Trivia nights were highly successful with our students. We used it to relieve stress, but also to introduce them to interesting aspects of the topic that we were studying. Students worked in teams during trivia night to compete with each other, and the academic teachers were the trivia masters. I think the students really enjoyed the aspect of getting to know the quirkiness of their academic teachers during that time. One of the other aspects of self-determination theory that I was targeting was competencies. There was multiple ways for students to make sure that they were achieving the competencies required in the class. One of them was access to discipline experts who were their teachers, but who were also available through multiple forms of communication to address any issues students were having. We used near tutors, and we used a number of ways in which we gave students feedback on how they were achieving in the course. So one of the examples of a channel of communication that we use was Moodle Forum, but we also used the Teams chats. The Teams chats was very useful in terms of having a one-on-one discussion with students and working out what it is that they were not understanding and helping them understand it. In terms of having the discipline experts on board, it was really useful because they were able to use lots of different media that they had access to in the chats and in the forums to help students understand the content or the areas that were difficult. We use technology as well to identify areas where students were not developing competencies. For example, we use the team insights to work out which activities students were not engaging with and then with students were not engaging with the content at all. And in that way, we were able to identify students that needed one-on-one communication with us to work out why there was a lack of engagement. Poly, which is embedded in Teams, was really useful to send out polls to students during class activities to work out where were the gaps in what they were learning in terms of knowledge, but also what were the troublesome concepts that they were encountering. And so with that knowledge, we were able to adjust the next session so that we could address those. I had a Slido running throughout the course, and the Slido was one way in which students had access to upload or ask any questions that they had anonymously. And this gave them some kind of relief from stress that they were able to ask questions anonymously in the Slido. One of the most valuable aspects of the course, according to our students, was that they really enjoyed the near-peer tutors. It allowed them to ask questions and to address their issues around the content and the competencies without feeling any anxiety that they sometimes feel when talking to academic staff. Every 2 or 3 weeks, we had interactive feedback sessions. We used some tools like Kahoots and Zeetings, and through that, we're able to ask student questions to work out what it is that they didn't understand, but also to provide rich feedback in those sessions so that we could address their shortcomings immediately. We did survey the students to find out how they were going in terms of managing their anxiety and well-being and which aspects they loved the most. The aspects that were related to relatedness and engagement with each other and with their peers were very highly ranked, which was very good. And overall, the students found that all of the strategies helped them build positive relationships, gave them choice about how they wanted to learn, and improved their well-being. The one thing that I do want to flag is that when we designing courses with this kind of initiative, we need to have the design before the course starts so that it is well embedded. And so that's something that we need to think about before every course. And to help you with that, the UNSW Healthy Universities Initiative has a number of resources on our website that you can use to help you think through what you want to do. But we also have the self-management resources for successful well-being that is on Moodle and that you can embed into your course as you would like. Some of the things that I was targeting very specifically in my course was to improve the student experience, to make sure all students felt included in learning, especially as we were remote, and to make sure that all students felt that they could engage with academics. And I think that with the initiatives that we tried, that was very successful. Thank you very much for listening to me.